Thanks for joining me today. We are here with part 2 of my interview with Kelly Brock. Kelly is a country recording artist. She has sung in an iconic Vancouver dance party band, Dr. Strangelove, for 20 years. And she owns her own booking agency called VanHattan Entertainment. And today we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but we're really going to get more into the kind of booking and management side of things. So there's some really great information here, and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Do you want to talk a bit about the most important relationships in your career? And here, this is a question I tend to ask all my guests, and it's less about specific names, although you can talk about it in whatever terms you would like to, but it's more about like who have been the important roles as you have developed through your career that have been invaluable to you.
Right. I mean, I think the first one would be my dad, just because if it wasn't for him being involved in music, I may not have found it at such an early age as I did. Right. So that's definitely, he put me on a trajectory that I may not have gone on. I mean, I think I would find my passion for music at some point, but so that definitely him. And then, certain artists, certain like Heart, Anne and Nancy Wilson, Bonnie Raitt, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder. I mean, that sort of, for me, just loving their music and their talent and what they've brought to, the musical arena has still today, I still love, those songs and their musicality and their voices. And, if I'm having a terrible day, I'll just, crank up some Stevie Wonder and everything's better, everything is better. So, and I have that's just a small fraction of artists that I love. I mean, James Taylor and Crosby, Stills and Nash, like losing David Crosby this past week has just been like, he was 81. He had a full, rich, wonderful life. Yeah. But the music he left behind, I mean, like just so incredible. And Bill Henderson, someone who, who we are like lucky to call friends, and Saffron, like who are, really, really close with, like, his contribution, to Canadian music and his songwriting. And, it's just, I just feel so grateful to have those influences in my life. And they still provide me with so much joy. And like I said, if I'm having a bad day, you just crank up those tunes and everything's better. Right. So, and in terms of business, I've the only sort of business role model that I can think of off the top of my head is Richard Branson, who I had an opportunity to meet, like 20 years ago, and, started Virgin Records, and he had the Virgin Megastore opening in Vancouver. And I had an opportunity, to go to the grand opening. A friend of mine played guitar for Amanda Marshall, and he said, "Can you please come to the grand opening and take some pictures?" And because we don't have anyone there able to do that. And I said, "Oh, of course, I'd love to, and I'll get you on the list." So I got on the list, and as I'm taking pictures, Richard Branson standing right next to me, and I didn't really know who he was. I kind of did, but not really. Yeah. And he starts talking to me. "Oh, what brings you here?" And anyways, and so then I got to know him, and then he said, "I want to meet you. I want to introduce you to my publicist, Lori." And so walked over to Lori, and we had a great conversation, and "What do you do?" And so I sing at the Roxy, and "Oh, where's the Roxy?" It's like literally like 5 minutes from here. And I said, my band's not playing tonight, but there's a great band playing. And if you want, like, I'm planning on going there afterwards, because the Amanda Marshall crew was going to go there and just hang out. And I said, "I'd be happy to put you on the guest list." And she said, "Oh, that would be great. Yeah, definitely do that." Thinking, there's no way in hell they're going to show up, right? They're just going to go home, and like they've had a long day. And well, like a whole group of them shows up, and Richard Branson's there with Lori, and and he threw his gold card down on the bar and said, "Buy everybody drinks." And I was like, oh, is
Oh,
this really happening? And so from there, I actually became friends with his publicist, and she invited Delan and I, who was helping me at the time, to all these Virgin Megastore openings. So we went to New York, we went to San Diego, we went to Vegas, and we hung out with Branson and his gang.
how
And so for
cool.
me, it was like, not thinking that I'd ever like, I don't know, like meet someone like a extremely successful
Yeah, yeah.
billionaire business person. I thought I better maybe, learn more about this cat,
Yeah.
right? So I went and bought his book and like autobiographies and biographies. And that was sort of my like kind of foray into like, okay, like this businessman has done so well for
Hmm.
himself. And why? Like, why is he so
Yep.
successful? And what has he done? So, I feel like reading those books kind of helped me, down the road. At that time, I was trying to like, pursue record deal and this and
Yep.
that. But with VanHattan, like I think it really did help me with sort of my philosophy on how I would want to run a business. And
Yeah.
and so he also inadvertently, I think, was a mentor
Yep.
to me as well, without him
Yeah.
even knowing it. But and Lori too, like both of them were like, what I learned from both of them was just be a nice person, like just
Yeah.
be a good human being.
Yeah.
Because he was like, asked questions about, the number of times that I did get a chance to sit down and have a conversation with him. It was always about me. It was always like, so what are you doing?
Mm.
What are your plans? Like interested, what's your family do? Like, and so he just came off as so like, and would look you right in the eye and,
Hmm.
and like seem genuinely interested in your life. Right.
Hmm.
So I took that, and it was like, that's something that, care about people that are in your circle and that you're working with. Right.
Hmm.
But genuinely
Yeah.
find, right, like be interested in, and sometimes that's hard when you get super busy. But I think to myself, like, if Richard Branson can do it, who's got like an airline and God knows what else he's got going on, if he can sit down and have a like a heartfelt, deep conversation, 10-minute conversation with somebody, it's so that's what I took away from my
Yeah.
experience with him and reading his books. And you know so that, I think, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that has been
Yeah.
pivotal in helping with my business, other than those
Yeah.
that I've just
Well, I mean, that's a
shared with you.
pretty nice collection of people. And so springboarding off of that,
Yeah.
what do you think creates a career with longevity?
Like a business or a music career, or
Either
both.
or, both. If you look at your own career, it can even look like combining the two in order to create a career within the scope of music that takes
Right.
you from,
A to B.
A to B. Exactly. Takes you the long haul.
I think just having passion for what you're doing. Like if I didn't love
Hmm.
music as much as I did, like Kayla, for instance, she loves to dance.
Yeah.
Like she's, and I think that will be something that will be a thread, regardless of what she ends up doing for a career, that will be a thread that she'll have for the rest of her life, right? Whether that be when she has kids and she's like involved with their dance school, or maybe even doing, choreography, or being a dance
Hmm.
instructor, or what have you. Like, and Cam's situation, my husband, is sports. Like
Hmm.
he loves all kinds of sport, has ever since he was a kid, like loves hockey, loves golf, loves race car driving. I mean, anything, tennis,
Hmm.
anything to do with sports, and just that athletic type of scope. He is all about it. So I think that's the key, is finding what is your passion, what makes you happy, like what puts a smile on your face, for Kayla, it's dancing. For Cam, it's even just watching a game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like on TV, it makes him happy, right? For me, it's music. Like I said, if I'm down, I just have to put on, one of my favorite songs, and it picks me up. So that's the key. Is I think whatever it is that you love, if you can try and figure out a way to have a career around that, then
Yeah.
that's where the longevity part comes in, is because,
Hmm.
you know, you'll always love that aspect of the business, whatever it is, whether you're, songwriter and you're slugging it out down in Nashville, like just getting doors slammed in your face constantly, right? It's
Yeah.
it's the songwriting. It's putting, words down on a piece of paper and putting music to it that just, and you'll probably end up you may have some times where you'll stray away from it for a while if you have a family. Like for me, having a family made me, I was still singing with Strange Love here and there, but I did really take the first 5 years of Kayla's life and just put everything into her, right?
Hmm.
So, that, there will be, if you're looking at your life, like the full scope of your life, there will be times, right? Or sometimes people suffer an illness, and they
Yep.
have to get through that, right? Or, or a loss of a loved one, or, so there will be things, if you look through the whole thing, that may take you away from your passion for a
Yep.
time. You probably and hopefully will come back to it, maybe in
Hmm.
a fully different way than
Hmm.
what but your passion, if that's something that you're passionate about, find a way to get back to it, once you've gone through whatever that, hardship is in your life, or something that takes up your energy where you can't, because the one thing I have discovered too is, like, following in a musical path, it's like you have to be selfish,
Yeah.
right, to really, and I haven't done a record, so I did like 4 records um before Kayla was born, and the
Yeah.
last one was like, I finished 2007, and I did promote it 2008, and I think I did like a single in 2010, but I just didn't have the time or the desire really to,
Hmm.
because it takes a lot of, like, time and selfishness almost to pursue and do it while you're young, and
Yeah.
then when you're ready to, and no regrets. I mean, Kayla's like, I mean, I love every
Hmm.
second, right? Like with you, with your kids, like
Yep.
every second that you got to see them walk and talk, and and whatever it is that they do when they're growing up, um there's no regrets there. But if you look at the full scope,
Hmm.
I think to have that longevity, you just look at other angles, once
Yeah.
you've, right, throughout your life. I look at Dal Richards, and Dr. Strangelove always jokes, "Oh, we're going to be the Dal Richards of cover bands, right? We're going to be playing into our 80s, right? Little nip here, little tuck there, and and we'll be, and I would, at this point, after, like, we've been together 30 years now, I would not be surprised if we make it to 50 years, like, of playing together. So,
And come on, 30 years for a cover band. That's like, that's,
right.
that is not to be discounted. That is not the norm,
It
right?
is not the
It,
norm, not
it
at
is
all.
really not. And so let's talk about that. You worked as the house band at the Roxy for a number of years. I had Craig Northey on the show recently, and as you know, the odds worked there. Their alter ego, Dawn Patrol, during your
Yep.
tenure there.
Yep.
Um, do you want to talk a little bit about the experience of having a house gig? How did that
Yeah.
affect your life?
I think having a house gig is why Dr. Strangelove is still together, because
Mm-hmm.
you're spending, I mean, we were there 4 nights a week, 4 sets a night. You're spending a lot of time with those people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building, obviously, like a family. It's more like a family than,
Yeah.
than just like, co-musicians or friends that play music together. Like, it's, and we definitely, people came and went for sure. And it was always fun when we would have, other people come and join the band. And, but it takes a certain kind of person to just sort of stick with something, and through the good times and the bad times, right? Like, because it's not all good. There's times when it's just like, you want to break up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to break up with this person, but you don't, you ride it out. You work it out. You're not living with the person. So that's good. So you at least have some time to just sort of put things into perspective. So I think that's the key, right? Like, don't live together.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys, you did go through 30 years, you've gone through some member changes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, for the last chunk of years, it's been a pretty consistent lineup.
Yeah.
A lot of the member changes happened sort of early on in those house gig days, I think, really. And then afterwards it was pretty consistent, right?
It was. And, the core, was, Sarah and I. So, and then Pete on drums, and then Andre, who unfortunately passed in December.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So between the four of us, we were sort of the core and the 30-year members. And then Richard joined the band after we left the Roxy, actually. I think he might have done a couple Roxy gigs with us. We had Mike Norman prior to Richard. And then, so Richard's been with the band for like 15 years now. Yeah. And then we have a bit of a rotating guitar chair. Guitar players are non-committal. Ladies, stay away from those guitar players. And I love them all. I love every guitar player that has played with us. They've brought something special and unique to the band, and have just always injected. I think that the guitar player, the rotating chair, has actually injected life into us.
Yeah.
New life, and breathe new life into the band every time it happens, right?
Yeah.
And so there's no hard feelings at all. Like when they've had to move on or wanted to, follow their muse and like Zach, for instance, was with the band for a couple of years, but, he wanted to, play hard rock. And so, he found his way to Vegas and had like a residency with a hard rock band playing AC/DC and Kiss, and, and then got to meet all his, they would come into the club, and he get to play with, Ace Frehley, and then ended up going on the road with Ace Frehley. So for him, I'm so glad he did that, because he would probably not have had those opportunities with Dr. Strangelove, right? So for him, he knew he had to follow his gut and his heart. And so, so definitely no regrets with our multitude of guitar players. But
and is it Johnny Roper? John Roper still with you right now?
John is still with us. He's actually leaving the band, though.
John used to play with us.
Yeah, he again, following his muse, he wants to, and hopefully this is okay that I'm actually announcing this, because I don't know, maybe he might not want me to announce it officially, but maybe by the time this is out, we'll know what's happening there, and will have mentioned it. But he's involved with a place called the School of Rock, which is a new Vancouver school where kids can go and learn basically how to be in a rock band, which I think is brilliant. Like,
I think it's so cool. I've been following them on social media, and I think it's such a cool concept.
It's so cool. And they've only been open for a few months, and they've already got a ton of students that have signed up. And Jean's so passionate about it. And he's basically involved with, like musical directing and of course, teaching guitar and teaching bass. And so it's a passion of his that I think he, really wants to spend more time on. Yeah. And we think that's awesome. Like, I think it's so great that there's something like that. So, so we're on the lookout.
Yeah. Yeah.
for the next wonderful guitar player to inject a whole new life into the band once again.
And where should people send their demos, Kelly?
That's right. Just send it on over. You know where to find us. drstrangeloveband.com.
There you go. There you go. So do you want to talk a little bit about the transition from going from being the house band to being the anything that we haven't covered? Because I know we've kind of touched on it here and there, but like going from being having the house gig to being the band for hire, but like a band that everybody in Vancouver already knew. And then also you guys as a band do work with some big corporate clients and stuff. So do you want to talk all about that transition?
Yeah. So again, I was bugging everybody, a few years prior to us leaving. How are we going to, I don't want to keep playing. I want to keep doing this. Like, this is great. And so we were actually doing weddings and doing corporate events before we did end up leaving the Roxy. And they were gracious enough to let us go and do the odd Saturday night here and there. So we started getting gigs for the Vancouver Canucks and doing their events during the day. So like a hockey game prior to, and then we played the Molson Indy. We did the Molson Indy for like, I think 4 or 5 years in a row. So we started doing these major sporting events where I think we started to get more name recognition. I mean, a lot of people at the Roxy knew us that would go there, but we started becoming more well-known in the community because of that. And then doing, municipal events like, the, City of Vancouver's Canada Day event. And then, of course, doing, weddings and we did like Brendan Morrison's wedding and so high profile weddings. Malcolm Perry, I think, probably helped to, raise our profile with his features he would do on Sarah and I and the band. And so, just continuing to work and getting these opportunities where, people knew who we were. And, we did our 20-year anniversary 10 years ago now, which seems crazy. But, I mean,
10 years ago now?
10 years ago. Right. And it was just like, so, and, I was able to, I basically did all the publicity for that event. And I'd pick up the phone and I'd send an email to, to CTV or to, BCTV or CBC and get replies, automatically like, yeah, we want to, do a little piece on, on the band or, the West Ender rag or whatever. I mean, there was always something, somebody or someone willing to just sort of spread the word, about what we were doing. And then I guess just people after decades, people get to know who you are. And we do a lot of events now too, where it's like 50-year-old birthday parties, right? Or like 25-year anniversaries. And it's like, oh my gosh, you played at my wedding. And then we're doing their anniversary party. Or, or we were on stage, for my birthday, my 25th birthday, and we were, drinking and it was crazy. And I maybe not say that. And then 20 years later, they hire us for milestone birthday party. And we do lots of that kind of thing. And it's been great. It's definitely helped to just keep the band going, and I don't foresee, an end at this point. We always go, oh, we're going to, we're another good 5 years left in us, and then that's it. Like that was Andre's big thing. Planning on another 5 years. And then once that's done, and it's like, it's not ending.
Yeah. Well, you guys just came back from a whole thing like House of Blues and whole thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So
that looked like a pretty fun gig.
It was really fun.
The slew of gigs.
Yeah. So the great thing about VanHattan is that was a VanHattan gig. So I've been able to take Strangelove and sort of put them in different scenarios because the musicianship is so awesome. And truly. we know so many songs, thousands of songs that, we've, played at the Roxy for, years and years and years and the last 30 years, so I, was able to take the band and utilize them. I'd dream up these different things, and I have event planners coming to me and going, "Hey, can we do this, this, and this?" And I'd be like, "Yes, we can. We can do whatever you need us to do." And then going to the band and going, "Hey, there's this, event planner that would like to do a show with Strangelove backing up Bill Henderson and Mike Reno." And, and I called that the Rock a Night in Canada show. And so we've done that a few times over the years. And then for Florida, we ended up, same event planner was like, "Can you guys be a live karaoke band?" And we're like, "Yes, we can. We can do whatever you need us to do." And so that opportunity, basically this company has some very like big music fans that like to sing, love karaoke, love to get up and play the drums. And so that's basically why we did the Florida gig, because we did a gig for them in Vancouver in 2018. And they loved the band so much that they brought us to Dubai the next year. So we went to Dubai with the same company as a karaoke band. We also did some Dr. Strangelove sets as well. We went and did a few different gigs when we were there and when they were in Vancouver. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. Nothing happened for a few years. And then they resurrected the live karaoke band for Orlando. And it was just so, being open to ideas and creative ways of sort of repackaging the band has allowed for these really great opportunities, 25, 30 years into our career. Right. So, so that's been, and I don't see that stopping. Like, I think that's something that, we'll be able to continue to do. And it's so wonderful to have the band. Like, I don't know how I would do that without my band, right? Like, knowing that playing with them for the length of time that I know they have my back, right?
Yes.
And whereas with just maybe pulling musicians together, piecing it together, I could do it if I had to, but it would be more nerve-wracking.
There's that piece that I think is, I have not heard a lot of people talk about this, but it's something I felt so strongly when Saf and I had the ticket. And it's that piece of feeling so safe on stage, like musically safe. I could super duper screw the pooch and make a terrible mistake, and the band would catch me. Like, I knew that I was never going to be left out hanging. Now, I of course never tried to do that, but you know what I mean? Like, I felt so safe because we all had each other's back and we were all there to catch each other. That what that does is it enables a lot of bravery. It enables you to take chances and do things and go places that you can't necessarily do in other situations that don't feel so safe. Because what if you have to stop a song in the middle, right? Because that's really everybody's worst fear. And and it doesn't happen when you're with a band that it feels so safe, because they are never going to let that happen.
No, they're just going to forge ahead. And there's always going to be hiccups. There always is. Even after 30 years of playing, people are still like making mistakes here and there. It just, but how to just like, you just ride through it, and that, nobody in the audience usually notices, right?
Exactly.
And the odd person that picks it up might find it slightly charming or funny or whatever, right? Yeah. So, so it's been really great. Like that, like Dr. Strangelove has been a big part of the VanHattan productions that I've put together. And I always try to include them, with anything that comes across my plate that would, where I could incorporate them into the production somehow. Right. Yeah.
And well, I think that gives you such a great ability to combine, like they just feed off each other, right? Ability to answer the call for event planners and things like that. Yes, we can put that show together because you have a band that can answer that call, it
Yes.
allows you to step up to these bigger productions that you might not be able to put just any old band into. It just widens the scope of what you can do.
It does. It does. And, it helps to keep the band rolling. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
it's like, we get to go, like, it was such a fun experience going to Florida a couple of weeks ago. Like we had a ball. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a family band road trip, which we don't do a lot of because we're local, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to travel and, with like, we're all best friends and so there's a comfort level there that is just so nice as well, right? Yeah, I think it's been a really fun, we've been doing these events probably like these types of productions, well, from the beginning really of VanHattan. So 10 years ago, the first year we had a YPO event, and that's where we did the Rock and Night in Canada show. And it just kind of, first of all, it was like, it made me realize, hey, I can do this. Like I've got the organizational skills and the chutzpah to have the balls to pull it off. Right.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't sure if I could, and without it like completely going sideways, but
I think I was a showrunner for you on that show.
You were. I mean, it was so stressful. Oh my gosh. It was
a great production.
It was so great. And I mean, the event plan, like BC Event Management, I mean, they are, again, have been in the business for, at that point, like probably 25 years. They knew exactly what they were doing. And so they were very, very helpful. But, for me to be able to pull that all together for them and help them with the creative end of things, because they're not musicians and they don't sing and they don't know what it's like to be on stage. So for me to have that experience and bring that to the table, and pull off, those kinds of shows, like it's really built my confidence. Because, for me, like that's been the biggest thing for me is just, even as a singer, like, and doing my own recordings and stuff like that, there's always just a little lack of confidence. And starting my own business really just took that to a whole new level. Like I feel like I can take on anything, you know what I mean? Like at this stage of the game in my life, I feel like, if you needed me to do something, like throw a big event in Wembley, I can, no problem. I'll make that happen. Right.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's always just say yes. Don't say no. Yes, I'll make it work. We'll figure it out. And you do. Right. Yeah. So, and I just feel so lucky to be able to do what I'm doing. Because there's not a lot of people that, get the opportunities that I've received, over the last 10 years. And, I'm super grateful for them all and looking forward to what's next. You never know what's coming down the pipeline, right? Like, and sometimes things shock me and I'm just like, oh my gosh, we get to go to Dubai. What?
Yeah.
Like, it's just things I wouldn't even imagine in my wildest dreams that we're doing. Right. So it's been really cool. It's been really cool.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Kelly. This has been awesome. This has been such a fun conversation. And
thank you too.
Where can people find you? So we've got you personally, we've got Dr. Strangelove, and we've got VanHattan. So web, social media, any upcoming shows that you want to point out, any of that, lay it on us.
Well, VanHattanEnt.com is where you can find, all these and the other thing I just want to quickly point out before we wrap things up, the talent that is in Vancouver right now is absolutely incredible. I mean, these like 20-something musicians and singers and dancers and performers, like I can't even explain how in awe I am of the talent that is coming up through the ranks. And I'm so excited to be able to help them take them to that next level, because it's and make a bit of a living doing their passion and following their dreams. And it's just, it's incredible. So you can find all of the, amazing entertainment that I work with on VanHattanEnt.com. Dr. Strangelove is DrStrangeloveBand.com. So we usually have our schedule up there for future events. I know we're doing a casino. I know we've got a couple dates in March and April. I don't recall exactly the dates off the top of my head, but there is a calendar on our website. So anyone who wants to come and see the band will be at it is the Grand Villa in Burnaby. And then I have kellybrock.com. I haven't updated that site for quite some time, but all of my CDs are on there, the 4 CDs, so you can purchase them on my website. And then there's just some videos. Like I had a really great opportunity to sing with Huey Lewis, like 10 plus years ago at the Peony. And so there's a video of that, which was thrilling. And
you did Cruising together, right?
We sang Cruising together. Yeah. I did the Gwyneth Paltrow part. So that was super fun. And I've actually done that a few times with him, although he's not singing right now because he's hurt his, I don't know, there's something to do with ears, voice, I don't know. So he's kind of semi-retired, I think, at the moment until he can figure out what's wrong. But so that's where, and then if you go to the websites, our social media is linked. We've got social media links on all the website pages. So yeah,
and I will throw them in the show notes too.
Yeah, that would be great. Very active on Facebook, the old person's social media site. Kayla's like, I'm like, do you have a Facebook page, Kayla? Facebook? That's for old people.
I know. My kids never go on.
Right. And then Instagram, of course, for all three projects. And I'm trying to get on a TikTok, but I just
doing the tickety talk.
Strange is not doing TikTok. I've been trying to get on, like during the pandemic, I was recording a bunch of like songs in my basement. So I would hop onto can't remember the name of the Smule app, and then just sing songs just to keep my voice in shape. And thank goodness, because it's like, it's the muscle. You don't want to let that go.
Yeah.
So I just, I was trying to get on to TikTok with the videos, and I've got maybe, I don't know, 20 of them up there, but I don't know, I'm having a hard time transitioning over to TikTok. I feel like they're going to shut it down anyways at some point. So why put all that content on?
I know I'm trying to learn that platform too. And I feel very old. Not going to lie. I feel very old. I had to.
Oh my gosh. Kayla tries to get me to do the dance moves. I'm like, do this. The simple. My brain just cannot wrap my head around it.
When I first started, because as a voice teacher, it's actually a great platform. So I'm trying to put some content up there. But I had to start by asking my daughter to send me a video of how to use the platform. So my daughter, Chloe, screen recorded, okay, Mom, here's how you start a video. Here's what you do. I was like, I am so old.
I know. So the TikTok, I'm still working on that one.
Yeah. We'll get there one day, Grandma.
We'll figure it out. We'll be grandmas, and we'll go viral as grandmas, singing grandmas. Oh my God.
Well, thank you again, Kelly. This has been super fun. I really appreciate your generosity with all your information and for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.